has never let her fans down, whether they're adults or kids. And the teaser released at D23 got all of us even more hyped up. Games and dances. In the teaser, we can see the Healer sisters hitting a red balloon up into the sky and trying not to let it hit the ground, exactly like what happened in the Keepy Uppy episode. In that one, the two of them, with the help of Chili, Lucky's dad, and Lucky himself, do the exact same thing. But they get interrupted by Bandit, who ends up letting the balloon fall onto the grass and pop right after. In the teaser, the balloon also pops the second it touches the grass. All of this goes to show that the BLUEY movie is probably going to make fans look back on some of the most memorable games from the first 3 seasons of the show. Of course, the story is going to be completely original, but just like the game of Keepy Uppy, we are absolutely sure that other activities that made the BLUEY cartoon so famous will also pop up. Like, for example, the magic xylophone, which happened in the very first episode of Season 1. Another thing we are totally certain will happen is a really funny dance moment in the movie, where the whole Healer family is probably going to teach us some new moves, just like we saw in the Burger Dog minisode. And just like what happens in the musical Statues episode, where we see Bandit bust out his good old sick worm move. For sure, the movie will feature a totally original story, just like the creator and head writer of the show, Joe Brumm, has already stated in interviews. But that brings up the question, at the end of the day, what is going to be the story? Like we said, Joe, who based the creation of Bluey and Bingo on his own 2 daughters, who are now teenagers, and created Bandit and Chili inspired by himself and his wife, said that the plot of the movie is one of the best-kept secrets of all. At the same time, we know that the stories and games we see in the cartoon are all inspired by moments he actually lived with his family in the real world. Literally, all of them. Like, for example, in Dance Mode, Grannies, and even Born Yesterday. Knowing that, the storyline of the BLUEY movie might very well have already happened in the series creator's real life. So we'd only need to figure out a few things about Joe's life. For example, a lot of people have absolutely no idea, but for a few years, the creator of BLUEY lived in England and worked on the animation crew for Peppa Pig, which today is the little blue dog's biggest competitor and has been on the air for way longer. Obviously, Peppa isn't going to show up in the movie. After all, Disney would never allow that. However, it's perfectly possible that the Healers, just like Joe Brumm and his family, will take a trip to London, and that it turns out to be an epic adventure. Since movies are much longer than regular episodes, we could imagine that the feature film would be made up of several mini-episodes strung together, in the sense that we would have multiple smaller storylines that, added up, would give us an hour and a half of runtime. For instance, we could follow the entire travel process, starting with the girls deciding what to pack and what to leave out of their suitcases. The whole family at the airport waiting for the plane for Bluey and Bingo's very first flight ever, while they come up with some game to play. On top of the funny things that could happen on the plane, like the two of them wanting to go to the bathroom at the exact same time mid-flight. And, of course, there would be the whole sightseeing tour, and all the pictures they would take while exploring London and checking out tourist spots, like the Ferris wheel and Big Ben. It would be so awesome to see all of this happening with the Healers on the big screen. Characters. As we see the release of the movie getting closer and closer, the big question comes up. Besides Bluey's family, what other characters might show up? If the movie actually follows the idea of a trip to London as its central focus, something that would perfectly tie into the series author's real life, we can also imagine that other details connected to Joe Brumm's real life might be added to the story. Just like Bandit, Joe also has 2 brothers. Because of that exact reason, we can imagine that, on this massive trip, maybe Frisky and Radley will tag along too. Along with Stripe, Trixie, Muffin, and Socks. It would be a mega family vacation, super fun, with 10 characters. Plus, we know that a bunch of others are probably going to make an appearance at some point too. For example, it's possible that, on the exact same flight as the Healers, we bump into Winton's entire family, which now includes his new terrier brothers, the triplets' mom, and his dad Cornelius, who, as always, will be holding a hot dog. That's because, even though some people might not remember, the 3 terriers live in Australia and go to Bluey's school. But according to the show's lore, the backstory, they were actually born in Scotland, which is right next to England. That's why they would all be on the very same flight. So Bluey, Bingo, and their cousins would find a way to play with the other 4 little dogs, Winton and the Terriers, right in the middle of the flight. Maybe they'll throw paper airplanes back and forth to each other with messages on them, soaring right over the passenger seats, which would have everything it takes to turn into a super fun mess. And in case all of this does happen, we would have both the Bluey family story as the main arc and Winton and the Terrier story unfolding as a really fun side plot. Can you imagine the 2 bulldogs finding out that the Terrier family has a castle all to themselves? That would absolutely be incredible. Now seriously, after all these details and Easter eggs, I think we deserve your subscription, don't we? Release. The official date for the first feature-length adventure of Bluey and her family is locked in for August 7th, 2027, which means it's coming in just under a year from now. Contrary to what a lot of people might think, the movie isn't being made by Disney or Pixar, but actually by Ludo Studio, teaming up with the Australian animation studio Cosmic Dino. But you might be wondering to yourself, then why was the Bluey movie announced at D23, Disney's exclusive animation event? Let us explain. While Ludo actually makes the cartoon, Disney pays the creators so they can broadcast Bluey to the rest of the world through their streaming service, Disney+. And over the last few years, Bluey has simply been the most watched production on Mickey's platform, beating out all the other original Disney animated series. So we can pretty much say that it's going to stay that way for a very, very long time. With that in mind, we know that Disney has a standard pattern for adding theatrical movie releases to their catalog, which is going to be the case for Bluey. On average, movies head over to Disney Plus roughly 90 days after their release. However, if there is one certainty in life, it's that the Bluey movie is going to be one of the biggest events in cinematic history when it comes to kids' content. So we can picture that time frame getting bumped up a little bit more, to about 120 days, meaning 4 months. With the Little Blue Dogs feature film dropping in early August, it'll probably become available to watch from the comfort of your own home around the beginning of December, which is exactly the month of Christmas. Which, for sure, is going to be really great for anyone who can't make it out to the movie theaters during the original theatrical run. Animation, music, and voice actors. As any good Bluey fan already knew, the animation style that we all watch and love is going to go through a massive shift, moving away from traditional 2D into 3D computer animation. Ludo Studio doesn't have the in-house setup to do animation like that, and because of that, they hired the company Cosmic Dino to handle this stage of the movie's production. In fact, right after the company was hired to do the animation for the Bluey feature film, they opened up a brand new workspace, which even features a 40-seat in-house movie theater. All of this so they can watch their own movies and break down the details and tweaks that need to be made to the animation. So there is a huge chance that if the Bluey movie turns out to be a massive hit, which is pretty much guaranteed, a 3D animated series of The Healers might be produced in parallel with Ludo's 2D animation. That way, we'd have not just one, but 2 Bluey series running at the exact same time. And maybe one of them will even feature the characters fully aged up, already in their teenage years. Still talking about the movie's production, 2 really cool things were also confirmed recently. The first one is that the official musician for the show, Joff Bush, who Busker was inspired by, is producing the soundtrack. Keep in mind that this guy was simply the one responsible for creating all those super cute songs that made up the Bluey album and absolutely dominated the Spotify charts for weeks on end. The other confirmed piece of info is that the show's original official voice actors, in English, will be the exact same for the movie, with David McCormick voicing Bandit and Melanie Zanetti voicing Chili. Actually, the 2 of them were in London a while ago, which just further strengthens the theory that the Bluey movie might have something to do with a trip to the capital of England. Post-credit scene. Now, touching on another thing we imagine could very well happen in the Bluey feature film, the existence of a quick post-credit scene right at the very end, which would be enough to shock all the fans of the show. Our idea goes like this. We see Bluey, years later, roughly 20 years into the future, wearing her scarf around her neck, going back to Big Ben, the exact same place she visited with her family in London in the past. But this time around, she would be holding hands with the pup that showed up at the end of the episode Surprise, the season 3 finale, and who the fans ended up naming Roxy. Basically, she would be recreating with her own family the exact same trip she originally took with her dad, her mom, and Bingo. While she has her back turned, holding Roxy's hand, an adult dog walks up, holding the hand of a second, slightly smaller pup. And then it's finally revealed who Bluey's husband actually is in the future. Who could he be? That's something we're not going to tell you, because we want you to drop your opinion down in the comments. Who would be the ideal husband for Bluey 20 years from now? We'll wrap up here, but if you also love everything involving pop culture, check out these 2 video options we're leaving for you on your screen. You can watch either of the 2, you're sure to love them.